Wow, welcome to the 2 Network Max Report with me, Adam. What a night it's been at St James's Park. We've just beaten the champions of the Premier League last season, Manchester City, by 2 goals to 1. Unbelievably improbable performance. I think of how off-field politics and performances on the pitch recently at St James's Park have just completely hampered and sucked the spirit and sucked the enthusiasm and excitement, and there's apathy and there's resignation around the pitch, around the fan base. There's nothing to be excited about anymore. Before today, basically our only transfer activity was flying Jordan Lukaku over from Lazio, only for him to fail a medical, and that was basically it. There was talk of protests tonight and all sorts, but when it all came down to it, brilliant performance. Everything just came down to playing football again, watching 90 minutes. And Rafa Benitez does it again. He's a fucking genius, that guy. He's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The magnitude of this win is so big. When you consider games that we've had so far this season that we should have taken points at home, we should have beaten, we should have drawn. You know, the Fulham 0-0, so drab. The Wolves last minute winner. You know, these kind of games that we sort of saw as winnable. And you're suddenly thinking, well, actually we don't win those games. Now we have to go out and we have to beat a team that we have no right at all to win against. We've got no right to beat. But that's exactly what we've just done tonight. We've just beaten one of the best club sides in the world right now, and probably the best team I've ever seen live. Not tonight, because I don't think they brought their A game. I think they were complacent, and I think they switched off after getting an early goal. And what a hammer blow, because you're kind of thinking going into the game, we're probably going to lose this, but let's have a go. And sure enough, after 25 seconds, so great ball lofted over towards Raheem Sterling. He's been shepherded by Lejeune, cuts in on his left, inside, and just chips the ball to the back post, and Yedlin is flat-footed and he's not following his man, and this is, you know, Yedlin has been caught out a few times at the back post. I mean, he's brilliant going forward, and he proved that again tonight. But obviously, you know, he has some defensive deficiencies, and that was kind of proven. And you know, David Silva at the back post slides in, he takes Dubravka out at the same time, but I'm inclined to think that wasn't a foul, despite what other people are saying. And Aguero, just his anticipation is second to none. That's why he's a world-class striker. And let's just so Man City take the lead after, you know, less than a minute. You're just thinking, bloody hell, it's going to be a cricket score. This is really not what we needed. But do you know what? The crowd didn't get on the team's back at all. And you look at that Man City side, they've got Aguero at the top of the spearhead. You've got De Bruyne and Silva in midfield alongside Fernandinho. I mean, what a ridiculous centre midfield they have. And then you've got Sane and Sterling, 2 of the fastest, most skillful players in the league, in Europe. And after that 25-second strike on target, which was a goal, we limited that Man City side with an embarrassment of riches in there. We limited them to only 3 more shots on target the entire game. There wasn't much to shout about the first half in terms of Newcastle's attacking play, but what we did do was, compared to the game that we played last season against them, where it was a very sort of very tactical 1-0. It was almost like a game of chess. It was kind of just trying to keep them out, and you know, it was amazing that I remember that even Jacob Murphy had a touch in their half because we were so pegged back by them. But actually, we were a lot more proactive tonight. And that was even when we were a goal down, and it was kind of like, do you know what, like, let's kind of have a go. And because we've got the distribution of the players of kind of, you know, Cher and Lejeune, who could fire over balls into the pockets, into the corners of the pitch, for Perez and Rondon to run onto, to a lesser extent Atsu, it meant that we were able to peg them back a bit, and we had to ask them questions, and there was an air of complacency about Man City. And I remember saying at half time to a guy sitting here, just, they've got a mistake in them here. Because there's a couple of times that balls came up, and obviously they have absolutely world-class players in every position, and world-class players on the bench in every position. So, this is what we're up against. This is a £1 billion team or whatever. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, the disparity between the two clubs. But we got at them, and actually going into half time, you kind of think, do you know what it is? Beyond that opening 30 seconds, we've played really well, we've battled hard, we've kept our shape really well, and we've stifled them and we've limited them to very, very few other chances. There was another opportunity where it wasn't quite cleared off the line, but we had to clear it from the 6-yard box, and a couple of crosses that flashed across that could have gone either way. There was a penalty shout, but there was nothing in it really by them. But you just felt that there was something. The crowd was really, really good. There was a lot of anti-Mike Ashley chants in terms of protests and holding the flyers up. I didn't receive one when I went into the stadium myself. There's a few people holding them up. I don't think it was a significant amount, but there was a lot of really anti-Mike Ashley chants, which was really good. I mean, he wasn't there, but it was good that there was a lot of energy in the crowd. And actually, I'll tell you what was one of the turning points, is the fact that the referee started making some really odd decisions where he wouldn't book their players, but actually booked ours. There was professional fouls from like Fernandinho, De Bruyne. There were yellow cards. There were no more than yellow cards. There wasn't anything malicious there, but they both knew what they were doing. No yellow cards. Perez gets a yellow card for being petulant and kicking the ball away and arguing a bit with the ref, and you just think, at least what Perez is doing isn't actually putting anyone in harm's way. It's not endangering anyone's safety. Whereas what De Bruyne did on Richie, that could have had him hobbled off and taken away from the game. So I'll never understand those decisions, and I think those decisions got me riled up, and it really got the kind of cauldron atmosphere in St James's Park. It was sunny in atmosphere, like I was there on Saturday at the FA Cup game, and it was drab, and it was just grim, and it was boring, and there was just nothing going on. There was no energy in the stadium at all. You switch your attention now to kind of a really, really cold Tuesday night at a game that everyone is just writing off as a defeat straight away, and suddenly there's passion in the stands, there's anger at what they're seeing in terms of the referee. Gabriel Jesus dives in front of the linesman, and he buys it, and they're buying Man City's theatrics, and it was really, really frustrating, but it got everyone riled up, and I think that energy transposed itself onto the pitch, and you suddenly got Hayden and Longstaff just working their bollocks off against a world-class midfield, which I've mentioned before. Fernandinho is an excellent footballer. Despite his age, he's still just unbelievable. And you see how Man City crumble when he's not in the side. But I think we just blocked them off. I think they tried to go wide a lot, but I think our wing-backs just worked hard. Richie had a fantastic game. Yedlin as well, but the three centre-backs, once they got into position to cross, then you're faced with Cher, Lascelles and Lejeune. You're not going to get any joy from them against diminutive Aguero. It has to be along the ground again in the second half. There were a couple of crosses that flashed across, but there was no more than that. And another night, that's a tap-in for somebody, but it just didn't happen for them tonight. They couldn't. And as the game went on, we grew in confidence and just thought, you know what, let's get into them. Rondon was superb up front, as was Perez. The pair of them, they ran their socks off. They had both had a couple of shots themselves. Perez had that shot that dragged wide in the first half, and I'm really pleased he went for it. He showed that his confidence is there. But he was inventive, he was creative, his movement was excellent. Rondon's strength in holding up allowed us, to gain territory on them and put them under pressure. And it was, you just felt that we wanted it more at that point. Regardless of if we had the talent or not to make that happen, but we wanted it more. And sometimes in football, that's kind of enough. And that's what happened, you know, when Richie got by Sterling on the left-hand side. Great crossover. It was headed out, and then Hayden, one-to-way Isaac Hayden, who just had a great game tonight alongside Longstaff, who I'll talk about in a minute, looping header up. And Rondon's just watched it all the way, sort of like watched it, and managed to get a volley in, and why the Man City defenders on just busting a gut to get a head on that. Like, there's no way he has the right to watch a looping header from really high just drop, and on the turn, and he basically he volleys it into the ground, which creates this bounce that it just Edison can't do anything. To be honest, the person who has the biggest chance of stopping that Rondon shot is Christian Atsu, who found himself just completely in the way of Rondon's shot, which was quite funny. Like, Atsu did a better attempt at defending that shot than any, and obviously the place erupts, and it was just after a few decisions have come completely against us, and everyone's getting riled up. I've been shouting at the linesman saying that you're not Premier League quality. I repeat, you are not Premier League, because I was annoyed at that Gabriel Jesus dive that he bought 2 yards in front of him. And then we go up the other end and we do that, and it's something like, bloody hell, 1-1, this is huge. But then even at the back of my head, I'm thinking, right, well, this is great. It's probably going to be 2 or 3-1 still, because, you know, Man City, and there's about half an hour to play, and that's just how it goes. And, you know, we kind of came close against Chelsea, and we lost in the last minute, and you just think it's going to happen again. And then we just keep frustrating them and stifling them, and that, you know, Dubravka beats a shot away that was basically straight at him. You know, they weren't getting any real shots away, and like I say, they managed 4 shots on target in the entire game. And they were always very like casual at the back, and they were passing it around, and you know, that's just what they do. And I was very impressed by how they can, you know, progress the ball basically from their defensive line. And within a few seconds, they've got the ball in our box. And it's remarkable to watch. And this is obviously just the difference of class and what happens when you spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds of oil money on a team, because you get that. But the work rate, and I mentioned Perez before, who I just thought was phenomenal tonight. Pressing them, and Laporte, and who's been a class act this season, I must say. He's integrated really, really well in the Premier League. He's one of my favourite defenders. He's just excellent. But we kept putting him under pressure, and sure enough, this is kind of what kind of happened. You know, they were passing it around the back. We were harrying them. This is at 1-1. Crowds going nuts and really getting G'd up. Goes to Fernandinho, who then turns and runs blindside. Who is there, right in his face? But local lad Sean Longstaff, who I was waxing lyrical about a couple of videos back, he was brilliant, and his anticipation to read that situation, he'd get in on Fernandinho's blind side, nick the ball away with his left foot, and Fernandinho's went to kind of pass it back to the goalkeeper. But he's basically just taken Longstaff out. Referee, I think Rondon carried on and had a shot saved by Edison, but the penalty was given, and Edison did his delay tactics, didn't he? And no wrong with him was there, just rubbed his knee for a bit and he was fine. But you know, there was no other player on that pitch that you want to take that penalty at that point than Matt Ritchie, who had to wait for about 3 minutes. And sometimes that could just be the worst thing for a penalty taker, to have too much time to overthink it. And he picks his spot and he just hits it so sweetly. And if you look at the replay, obviously that penalty's nearly saved. Really, really is nearly saved, because it goes right under Edison's body. But it's the power that Ritchie generates that makes that go in. And suddenly, I mean, I can't even really remember my reaction, but obviously you're just sort of jumping around, screaming. I was hoarse anyway from complaining to the officials earlier. And you suddenly think, like, bloody hell, like there's about 10 odd minutes left, maybe a little bit more, and we're 2-1 up against one of the best club sides I've ever seen in my life. And obviously they weren't playing that well to justify that label tonight, but you know, they are a different class, with one of the best managers in the world, and a philosophy that works and wins trophies. and we were 2-1 up, and this is Rafa Benitez with his shoestring £40 million side. You know, it costs, I'm pretty sure, De Bruyne alone cost more than our team. Yet we've pulled this out the bag, and obviously from being 1-0 down against Man City, I mean, who was the last team to go down a goal at Man City and actually come back and win? Any statisticians out there, please tell me, because that's a stat I would love to find out, because this just doesn't happen. I mean, this doesn't normally happen in Premier League football, to come back from behind. It just doesn't often happen. It's a rare occurrence and a rare phenomenon. But we did it tonight against one of the teams, and it just felt that they were too casual, and they probably thought that they'd won it before they turned up. And I think that's the key. But we wanted it more, and we didn't let them have it. We worked harder than they did. And you think a team who could be 7 points behind Liverpool this week, depending on results, I believe. You know, one of the hardest things to do is to defend a title, and you kind of see why, because you just get sucked into this sort of, oh well, we're the best, so you rock up to a team who's struggling down at the bottom, a la Newcastle, who've got all their own problems, shoestrings tied. They've got three first choice centre midfielders injured. We've got basically an academy product who's played a handful of games in Longstaff, and you've got Isaac Hayden who wants to leave the club. That is our midfield against one of the best midfields in the world. Yet they were better. We were better than them. We stopped them doing what they wanted to do, and we were better than them, and we deserved this victory. We absolutely deserved this, and we worked hard, and the fans were brilliant. Rafa is a fucking genius, and I will say this over and over and over again. The way we won this was no coincidence. We knew we were going to have limited chances on the break, but we capitalised, and we were potent on the break, and we got back into it, and through hard work, the defensive positioning was amazing, the shape that we had, and we were just in their face, and we stopped them doing what they wanted to do, and that's why we won today. And it is phenomenal, and it's because we're not often treated to this kind of game. You know, last season Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea at home particularly were just fantastic results, and just a great feeling around the club, and when things have been so depressing and negative, and just this feeling of apathy and resignation around the club, and are we going to make signings? Probably not, and why doesn't Mike actually sell already, and we've got another relegation battle and we can't win at home. To go out and pull out a result like that, and a performance like that against one of the best sides in Europe, in the world, is phenomenal, and it just means so much that we go through so much shit and heartbreak that we have to indulge so much in these victories, because they mean so much, and the impact that this could now have on our season forthcoming could be huge. We're hearing that Almiron is being flown over, and a deal in principle has been agreed, subject to medical. We've heard Antonio Barreca, the Italian left back, who has potentially a great prospect. There's a loan with an option to buy there. They're chasing Samaris from Benfica, loan with an option to buy, someone that we've wanted a couple of years. That, you know, this could be a huge 24, 48 hours in the future of Newcastle United and Rafa Benitez. Will it be enough for him to stay on? Who knows? But what we do know about Rafa Benitez is that he absolutely did want Almiron, and he's wanted him for a long time. If Rafa thinks he's good enough, hell, let's see what happens. I mean, if we do get him signed, look out for more videos on this channel, because I'll be doing transfer updates for any new signings that come through. This is the place to be. Please subscribe if you haven't already. But just enjoy this feeling of beating Man City, fair and square. Referee was against us, didn't get their players booked when they should have done, for example. But that just helped. And what a great atmosphere, and what a night. And I'm so pleased for Rafa Benitez. And this is all in spite of Mike Ashley's running of this club. This isn't Mike Ashley this is Rafa's win. This is Rafa's victory. This is for the fans and the players. It's all of ours, and it's not his. He can never have this. I'm going to leave it there. I'm emotional. It's really, really late. It's like 12:30. I'm trying to not wake up my family because I'm going to be in loads of trouble anyway. But hell, I don't care. What a night. I'm so fucking delighted with that. Amazing. Amazing performance. 10 out of 10 for everybody on the pitch. Basically, in black and white shirt. They were amazing. If I had to pick somebody out for an amazing performance, full stop, I think Perez edged it for me. I thought he was just excellent, and he did a lot of defensive work in the final third that applied enough pressure that eventually got us the penalty one. Unbelievable. I honestly, just so important that we got, and we're about 5 points clear of the relegation zone. There's obviously matches to play tomorrow at time of recording. Things are looking good. We've got Spurs away at the weekend, which is going to be a really, really tough ask. But after that, we've got some results. You know, we've got some fixtures that we might win. Wolves just beat West Ham 3-0, so that's going to be a tough one. But after that, we've got some games that we can win. I think we're going to be all right, especially if we get these signings in, and the momentum that tonight's going to cause. That feeling of positivity is going to come back with or without Mike Ashley. As long as we've got Rafa Benitez, I think we're going to be all right. I've been Adam of the Toon Network. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like the video. If you listen on iTunes and SoundCloud, please rate and like and share with as many people as possible. I want as many people possible to hear my podcasts and the videos as well on YouTube. So that would do me a huge favour. Catch me on Facebook, /The Toon Network 1892, and of course on Twitter @The Toon Network. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1. I've been Adam. Bye-zy bye.